Grand Rising, I'm Raan Oosha, and welcome to another show of Conversations on the Spiritual Journey. A show that came about through my interest in spirituality and non-duality specifically. Talking with some of the interesting people I've met from different parts of the world about their journey or awakenings, breakthroughs, or just explaining and unpacking spiritual concepts and ideas. Today, I have the honor of having my Auntie Gloria on the show. Grand Rising, Auntie Gloria.
Hello, thanks, same to you.
So, a bit of background to this. I heard a while ago from my mum and cousin that Auntie Gloria had written a book, and it's called How I Dealt with Cancer in a Non-Conventional Way. And when I first heard about the book, my mum just told me about the food part of it. So the raw food, the juicing, which I have an interest in. And that was what I heard. But upon reading the book, I realized that the food was such a small part of it. And the greater part was going into who are we as human beings and the power of thoughts, beliefs, ideas, and faith. So thank you for coming onto the show, Auntie Gloria.
You're welcome.
And I thought I'll start with from the beginning. What happened when you got the diagnosis of cancer?
The diagnosis, when I got the diagnosis, the surgeon mentioned mastectomy, which did not go well with me because I thought that something else could have been done other than having a mastectomy. Being a churchgoer for most of my life, I knew that the one to heal me was God or spirit or whatever, not the chemotherapy or the radiation. Because I had friends who had families who went through chemotherapy and radiation, and so many things happened to them, like the losing of their hair and not being able to eat, losing weight. So I decided that was not good for me. Also, too, which is very important, in the time in which I grew up, there was no chemotherapy radiation around. We used to use the natural things like the trees, the fruit, the leaves. For example, we used lime juice was made from the lime because we all had gardens in our back gardens, in our yards. We used the aloe plant also too. And also to remember that in Revelation, it says the leaves were given for the healing of the nation. So I decided to forget the chemotherapy and the radiation and go back to what I was used to growing up. So the food came in because of that. But the food was not the only, it was not the main focus. The main focus to me was the spiritual part of it. Because going to church most of your life, you know some of the scriptures, but you have to prove them. And I decided I was going to prove it, prove this spirit or God or whom we were taught about what he can do for me, not only for the Old Testament people, but what he can do for me. So I kept that in my mind that I am your healer and not chemo or radiation. That's how I looked at it. So I came home and I read books by Dr. Chopra on quantum healing, on intuitive healing by Judith Olaf, and women's bodies and women's minds by Dr. Christian Northrup. I also searched the internet for lots of information because there were other people who went through the same thing to natural healing. Their stories were on the internet. So I also read them to see what they did. So that was, and I put together an arsenal which I used to help me through it. Because there was I read about a Swiss German doctor, I think it's Paracelsus, born in the 15th or 16th century, who mentioned that um, when the body is hurt, a certain part is hurt, all the parts have to come together to heal that one part. So knowing that, I set about to get everything together that would heal my mental, my emotional, physical, and spiritual bodies, I call it, or parts. So when the arsenal, I did, I listened to music. I also had a CD by, it's called Health, Sound Health, Sound Wealth. And in that CD, there are subliminal messages that heals for every part of the body that you can think of. The eyes, the mouth, the throat, the kidneys, and I play that constantly. Also sound. There's also a part of the tape which is only on sound. I played it also because sound is also good, for us also too. I danced also too, put on some fast-paced music and dance because the cells, well, they like that too. They jump up and down. So I did that. I exercised also too. I went for walks. I sat in the sun. I did qigong. I did meditation. Meditation to me wasn't the formal meditation. It was, I just took like 15 minutes off, whatever, to look into myself. Like, who am I? Where am I going? What is all this all about? What am I supposed to learn from this thing? Did I bring it about? Then I did pray also too, because I think what Jesus said, when you pray, go into the closet and shut the door. To me, that meant go into myself and just shut everything out. Then I changed my foods also too. I loved ice cream. I loved fried fish. Had to get rid of them. And it was sad because the day before the diagnosis, I went shopping and had to get rid of every single thing that I bought. And that hurt because that's money to me and I love money. I had to get rid of everything. It, I was fortunate that there was a gentleman who sold the vegetables and he passed my door like every Friday. So I would buy up the things from him, the broccoli and the spinach, because we're not used to eating those types of food. Our food is mostly a ground food, the potatoes and cassava, dasheen, not the usual, but now we are growing those things now. But at that time, they had to be special people had to sell them like in the market or so, and they would buy from them. So that's what I did. I also, I did not stop doing what I was doing. I continued with my work before because I have a garden. I did my gardening on mornings. I also sewed, I entertained, I volunteered at a preschool, and I continued going at the preschool also too. Sorry, that's what I'm doing. So that was my journey. That was um, that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, yeah. And I'm still going strong now. I'm not as stringent as I used to be with the things I did at that time. I kind of eased off. But the meal, the salad, the diet is still the same, almost, sort of. But I do more things now. I still do my sewing, my entertaining, and whatever. And that was it. And the trust, you have to have that trust and that faith. And one thing though that stuck with me was, I think it was Peter who said, when things come to try us, uh, don't think as though some strange thing happened to us. See it as joy, because we know that it produces, it's a test of faith, which produces endurance. And endurance is very important when you're going through any kind of sickness, because we want it to end now. But if it ends now, there are things we have to learn along the way, and we won't know those things if it ends right now. So we have to endure. That's it. That the faith is being tested. So you keep on waiting, and you keep on. And but while you're enduring too, you have to do something. Or it's be boring. You have to help somebody else while you're waiting. What I did was I went to the day school, preschool, and helped the children, and that helped me to endure, kept me to wait, not to be in a hurry. So I learned because you could learn a lot of things from children. So I learned a lot of things at the school also too. So that's it.
So, how important is the idea of service to others when in healing our own bodies?
It's very important because it takes your mind off your body. You can become obsessed that you could cripple yourself with your obsession. A war is me, nobody cares. And there's always people worse than us. But we don't see that. We think we are the only ones that are going through what we are going through. But others have gone through the same thing too, or worse than you. So when you help somebody, and don't look for somebody who who has everything, who doesn't need your help. Look for someone who needs your help, because you're giving of yourself. And in that way, to me, you're portraying God or spirit or whoever in a way, because that being also gives to us also too. So we are giving to somebody else. So it's important that you help. When I went to the school, she did not know that I was diagnosed. I never told her anything. But I went every day and did what I had to do with the children. Excuse me. Somebody told her after, but I did not tell her anything. So it's important that you have to give, and it makes you feel good when you give. Not to somebody who needs it, somebody who doesn't. Like the little children, they need people to show them like examples and to teach them things. So that's what I did with the children. They come to you for help. They don't know. You could be in pain. I mean, I didn't have any pain. I was never in pain. Some people go through, they have pain, but I didn't have any. But I was determined, and it never entered my mind not to. And for example, too, I forgot to mention this too. When I was going through the um, testing, my older sister also too suffered a stroke, and I had to look after her. So I took care of both myself and my sister at that time. Now, before that happened, being the elder one, she expected me to take care of her because that's our culture at that time growing up. Nothing was wrong with her, but she expected the help from me. That made me resentful. But when I thought about it, that's what she was accustomed to. That was the culture at that time, the culture. So she couldn't understand why I would not take care of her. And for me, I learned that you must forgive. Forgiveness plays a big part in healing. If you hold things inside of you, the body knows what's going on. Body would not work to heal itself. So I had to forgive her. And in forgiving her, I had to find a reason why I should forgive her. Then I realized that how many times did I do things to her that she forgave me for that I did not know about? So I had to react the same way too and forgive her for what she thinks. Because in her mind, she's not doing me anything. That's the culture. So we have to understand the culture of somebody and why they do. So with that going now, my mind was free. I made a decision to take care of her. I could have chosen not to, but I did, took care of her and myself. There was no problem after that. And I was sure with my decision to do that, that my body also accepted what I did and things were changed. Because when you're not forgiving, you are, everything is tight. Muscles are tight, you are tight, and you, every time you see the person, you have this feeling come up in your mind, which is not good for you. But when you forgive, you relax. So that's it. And then before that one, a year or so before that one, my other sister also had stroke. I took care of her also. So I could have said, well, why me? But I didn't say why me because I learned that as the things that Job went through after it was all over, he was blessed more than he was before. So I kept my mouth shut and just did what I had to do, and that's it. Then I got my healing. I'm not saying it's a result of that why I got it, why I was healed, but who knows? You do what you have to do, and that's it. But it was a very interesting time, very interesting time.
Can there also be, when it comes to forgiveness, that
Mm,
for some they may have trouble with that?
yes,
Can there
no,
also be an acceptance that at this moment I cannot forgive, and even that is an acceptance of where you are at that moment, and then maybe through time the forgiveness will come, not through you saying I should forgive, but the natural
yes,
way of being. So I guess accepting where you are at that particular time as well.
yes, that's true. That is true. That is true. Forgiveness, we expect to be forgiven right away because it is not that we feel badly that we want forgiveness right away, but it is because I want life to continue as it was before. Now, if I have to forgive you, I can't because I'm still hurt from whatever you did to me. It will take time for that to go. Now, my wanting you to forgive me now, meaning that I want you to continue in a relationship as normal as though nothing happened. And you, of course, not realizing how much you have hurt the person. They need time to get over the hurt, but we don't see them being hurt. We do something and that's it. So forgiveness is necessary to heal. We have to forgive because you're not supposed to have anything in your mind. If you want healing, get rid of it.
I guess also it allows us to see through the eyes of another, because actions that we may take, see as small, as insignificant, another person, they are extremely hurtful to them,
Yes,
and they're
yes.
carrying around a lot of pain, and sometimes it's not even expressed or even spoken about it, but
Exactly.
held deep in
Mhm,
the body, which causes.
mhm.
So in the second chapter, you says handling. You don't write disease. You say handling the dis-ease.
Yes, yeah,
Can
because the
you
body, yeah,
please go into that?
yes, it's a disease of the body. The body is not at ease. As I mentioned to illustrate, notice in the army or navy or these organizations, when you stand at attention, you're not at ease. The body is like this. So you make a salute. Oh, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Yes,
You can hear me?
I can hear you and see you fine.
Okay. And my hand touched something there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they would tell them, stand at ease. Then they relax. That is what the body was to me. It's all tense. It's not at ease. So mine was not at ease. Mine was all tensed up. And you had to do things to put it at ease, which is when they say relax, then the soldiers relax, then the body's at ease. You have to do something to make it at ease. So mine was not at ease. How could it be at ease? I couldn't know what I was supposed to be doing because you feel weak, you lose your energy, you're losing weight and having a headache and all different things, you're feeling pain. You're not at ease. When you get rid of that, then you're at ease. So that's all. That's what cancer was to me. The body was not at ease. I had to put it at ease. So I used my exercise and the different things I did to put it at ease. Exercise, how you eat, meditation, you reach out to people, you help people. That's it.
So it seems then that in this life we are carrying so many tensions. Most of them we are oblivious to, because
True.
we have become habitually, we walk. In fact, the way we walk, sometimes we take into account these tensions and aches, and it changes
Yes.
our body form. So
Yes.
we're oblivious so often to our own traumas and tensions that we're
Mm-hmm.
carrying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is true. We all tense. You need to relax. You know, there's sometimes when people are tense up, they massage the shoulders. It's all tight, all tense. We're not relaxed people. Too many things going on. Too many stresses going on. We all of us like, and the world we live in now it's so fast paced with all this internet and all these things we have, and now 5G and whatever we have, rushing, rushing, rushing. We're very not at these people. So we have more diseases now than we ever had before.
Did you become aware of maybe tensions that you were carrying that you were previously unaware of?
I would say, I would say no, because my work was very stressful. I knew that it was stressful because we work from, sometimes I'll go to work at 7 in the morning and stay until 7 at night or 9 at night, according to some of our work was seasonal. So I knew that I was carrying around that tension. I knew that. But even though you know that, you do not see it apart from yourself. It becomes a part of you. Because if you were to see it apart from yourself, you'll do something about it. But you think, well, this is the way it is, and that's it. But then the body knows that's not the way it's supposed to be. Because myself, I worked all those long hours, and sometimes I had to tell myself when I'm walking to put one foot in front of the other, because the body couldn't do it on its own. But you did not stop. I didn't stop. I kept on going, going. Then I packed up, came here, built a house, all this stress. You take it in stride because if you are aware that that is not how life should be, you'll collapse. There'll be no strength to carry you. So you keep on going. And that is why I think that my body collapsed with the diagnosis. It was too much. Something had to give because I wasn't aware that it should give. You don't think of your body. You just keep on going. Get up in the morning, you're going. But at some point, you don't even rest. I didn't rest. Some point, the body says, enough is enough. And this happens to you in different ways. It doesn't have to be cancer. It could be any other disease. And it makes you stop, makes you slow down. I went to bed early, 6 o'clock, 6:30. I was in bed. My body wanted to go in bed at those times. Ordinarily, I wouldn't do that. So the body knows. We are very smart, you know. Fearfully and wonderfully made is not just a word, one expression. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are.
Auntie Gloria, could you explain that fearfully and wonderfully made, and also the interpretation of the word fear?
Fear, okay. Fear to me is when you use fear to me is seen in a negative way, sorry, in a positive way when it comes to God or spirit or the universe or whatever you choose to call it. Fear to me means it's a respect. You love God. When you said your body is fearfully and wonderfully made, it's a loving body. A body is made with love and from love. Because, for example, how we are born, a man and a woman, they get together, that's love. So that's fear. You're born out of love. That's fear. Wonderfully made is, I'll give you an example. Some years ago, a friend and my sister came to visit me. And we were renting an old, this is years back, we were renting a TV. And the TV wasn't working properly. Every time I passed by the TV, it worked. And you can understand it. So I had to stand up next to that TV for the duration of the movie for them to look at it. Then later I discovered that we have so many volts of electricity in our bodies that we don't even know about. I forgot how many, it's in my book. And that example is in the book also too. So that is wonderful. The thing that we do, we walk. Do you tell yourself to walk? No, you get up and you go. You eat, use your hand, you eat. You don't tell yourself to eat. So that's, to me, that's wonderful. I can see, that's wonderful. And that's fear made out of love. It's not the same thing as that I fear you, I fear somebody. That's negative. But fear to me is to use with God, and of course, when well, anything that God make to me is fear, because He made the body, fear and wonder, and that's love. That's how I look at it. So coming from that angle, of course, I am trying to respect my body because the body deserves respect. But we don't all respect our body at all times. I don't do it at all times. I'm trying to do it. The times we eat, the things that we eat, like now they're saying that fried foods and ice cream not good for you. But we eat them anyway, even though we know that they're not good for us. So that's my definition of fear. Fear and wonderfully made.
So as we were speaking about before, so fear often is looking at the unknown. So
Yes, we do.
yes. So I guess the unknown, if we just see it for what it is, and it can be transmuted into a kind of great learning experience about whatever it is, and I guess more importantly, yourself. So there can be a growing in that kind of place.
Yes, we can see the unknown depending on our thoughts. So we think. I wrote beyond the appearance, things are always happening, but we don't know that. For example, you go to your maker for something, things are happening beyond the waiting period, but you don't know that. You want it now. You have to wait. Things are happening then. So, and I always say that God lives in the unknown. And it's always positive. It's how you look at things too. And I am a positive person. I look at things positively. If you come to me with something negative, I'll turn it around to show you the positive side of it, which is what that book is all about. It could have been doom and gloom. I even mentioned what about death, and I showed death as being a positive thing. That sister, she died. She couldn't wait. I don't understand why she wanted to go. She wasn't bored. She wasn't fed up. As far as she was concerned, she had lived her life, a full life, and it's time for me to go. So when she went, nobody cried because she wanted to go. So you were happy for her. We miss her, but we were happy for her that she got what she wanted. And that's it. So we could live positively instead of negatively. And that's what I am doing, living positively instead of negatively. And I wish I have many more years again to live, to do what I want to do.
So is the death of the body just that death of this vehicle that consciousness or God or whatever you want to use is using in this particular three-dimensional earth? But what's really the source never really goes.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that because haven't you met people and you wonder, I know you. You've experienced that? I know you, but where do I know you from? I know you. You've has happened to me. Or sometimes you meet some children and they're talking to you as though they know you, or you've been together, or you're constantly fighting with somebody. And I usually have fun, and I said, that's funny. Those two must have been together. They must have been married before somewhere. That's why they didn't get along. So they both come here to continue. They're fighting, you know. Life is very interesting. I'm telling you, it's exciting. Life is exciting for me. That is.
And like what you wrote in the book in many parts is when you start seeing yourself in a larger way, not as this small self with the anxieties and egos and
Yes,
fears and doubts, but
yes,
from who you really are. And you mentioned the awareness. So when we become the awareness of our body, the awareness of our thoughts, the awareness of it, awareness of how the body's moving, then
hmm,
then it's seen from a much larger perspective than this small kind of narrow self, which seems to engulf fears and doubts.
well, if we if you concentrate only on the physical, on the body, that's all you're seeing. But when things happen, um, for example, I'm listening to a program right now, looking at a program right now. And when you see things that the body does or can do or that happens, it makes you think who made our bodies? It opens your mind, makes you aware of things. For example, um, you think of the heart, and you think of the brain, and even look, um, this morning I saw a caterpillar on my flower, and I stood there looking at it. And that caterpillar going to become a butterfly. How is that possible? How is it possible? So all these things around us make us aware. It makes me aware. I look at things, the animals, the insects, and then you wonder, well, who am I? What am I? Where did this come from? Where did I come from? Makes you aware. So the little things that you're worrying about, you transcend them. You don't worry about them anymore. It's not important. Like the part of the Bible that says, I think it's in Matthew, Jesus said, the birds of the air, they don't have to look for food. The food is provided for them. So you realize that, why am I worrying about something? If they are being provided for, I will be provided for also too. One day I was complaining about the birds coming into my home and eating up my bananas, whatever I had here. And I was talking to the phone and to a friend on the phone, and I told her what's happening. She said to me, Gloria, they do not have a mother. So in other words, I'm providing foods for the birds. So when the part says that in the birds of the air, they don't have to, they neither spin or whatever, and their food is provided for them, we are part of that plan also too, to provide for them. So that's the awareness, because she made me aware of my part in the plan, the whole scheme of creation. When you're aware, little things to worry about. Don't bother you. And for example, I wanted some tea. I had no tea. I was out of tea. I went to church one day, and what happened? Somebody handed me a bag of teas. Little thing like that. You don't worry about anything. I have a neighbor. I'm wondering what would I cook today. She calls me up. I'm bringing food for you. I didn't ask her for food. She bought the food. So aware, you step out of yourself and you begin to notice the larger picture around you. Look at the animals, the trees, even the people. I love studying people. You look at them. Where are they happy? Why are they sad? Get out of ourselves. That's what we need to do. Forget yourself and look around you. There's a much, it's happier outside than inside. If you're miserable, go and sit outside. That's it.
It seems from there you have the wonderfully made body, and then even from there you transcend that to seeing wonder in whatever you see.
Every, yes, there's wonder in every single thing. Even though we think that something is ugly, because I don't like that word, but if you think it is ugly, there's always a wonder in it. There's a beauty in it somewhere. So that's how I look at life.
And also, I guess if you look at it from that way, the sense of judgment to others or things will collapse naturally.
Yes, it will. It will. It will because we are judgmental. I was judgmental, but when you go through, you're tested, you go through a trial. Such things don't matter anymore. Because when you're judging somebody, you're saying that you're better than they are. Is not what we are doing. So when you go through a trial, to me, that's humbling. That's humbling you, bringing you down to nothing. Because we have all judged, which we shouldn't do, but we do because I think it's a part of our human nature. I think it's built into us. That's what I think. For us uh, to rise up from, to learn how not to be judgmental. But when you go through testing, there's no time to be judgmental. The other thing that you have to do, so it's like you're freed and your mind is opened up to go in another direction. Instead of judging the person, not my business. If you can help the person with what you're judging them, you help them. Otherwise, don't do it. But that is not an easy thing to accomplish. It's not easy. And you have to go through something where judging is not important to you anymore. So a lot of things are gained from the test of faith and from endurance because you see things differently. Things that were important to you, not important to you anymore. As I mentioned too, if you knew you had only 2 days to live or a month to live, would you still continue to judge? And you wouldn't do that, would you? You have no time. You're busy trying to put your life in order because you don't know where you're going. Some may go nowhere, I don't know. But at least you know you wouldn't be here. So try to leave a good impression the best that you can so that you'll be judged rightly. We shouldn't do that instead of wrongly. But
And I like what you wrote is that so every day we are closer to our death. Anyway, and but if you see it from that way, it's like that teaches us to be in the moment, in now.
Yes, yes, live now. Live now for now. But how many of us do that? I don't. I am constantly reminding myself that I should. Our minds are always either in the past or in the future, not in the now. When I live in the now is when something happens to me. Like, for example, I'm in the kitchen. You off again?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in the kitchen doing something and I may drop something on my foot. Then I will tell myself, you weren't in the now. The now means concentrating on what you're doing now. I don't do that. I'm trying, but it's not easy. I'm always jumping ahead into tomorrow or whenever, or I go back sometimes, but I'm not in the now as I should be. I'm trying though to be in the now.
And you wrote about that in regards to healing, that we are, is it double-minded? We have a part of us in the past and we're somewhere else, and that conflicts to where we actually are.
I'm trying to think what was the chapter?
Um, I can't recall now, but I think it was with reference to where a lot of times we're thinking about the past or what's happened or what might have happened, and a lot of fear-based thoughts come up. And so we become double-minded. So we're kind of split, we split ourselves.
Oh, that was in my sister. What she thought. No. Double-minded man. We split ourselves. Well, we do that, don't we? Do that? We do that. We go back and we go forward and we split ourselves. Oh, I think yes, it is we want something done, and a part of us, a part of the mind says, I'm thinking. Part of the mind says, a double-minded man, yeah. Well, we have two minds. We want something, but then we don't, we want to hold on to the past because when you're going forward, you don't know where you're going. And there's a fear there. But if we are to remember, because the fear going forward is in the unknown. But if you remember that God lives in the unknown, then the fear we had, we will lose it because we know what we are going forward to. But how many of us do that? See, it's like having a government, you know how they operate. So they may not be good for you, but you vote them back in power because you don't know who these new people are coming, how they would operate, they would treat you. So you hold on to the old one that you know. Of letting go and going forward to the new, we don't do that. So
Auntie Gloria, can we get into the food aspects now? So what did it do with your diet? How it changed, the impact of raw food and maybe vegan food, and the elimination, I think it was, of mucus in the body.
Oh, yes, yes. But you see, not for lunch. Lunch was the cauliflower and the broccoli. Was salads, mostly salads. But after a while, you got tired of salads. Salad for lunch and salad in the evening. That I began. I did stir fries. I also had my own back garden. We have planted the cauliflower and the broccoli and the herbs and whatever. Of course, I was hungry at first because I'm used to eating so much different kind of food, but your body would settle down to eating the new type of food. And it was filling after a while. I had a cup of tea in the afternoon. Now, that was just a part. The food didn't, the food was eaten automatically. You know, there was no, if you eat different kinds of food, of course, you'll enjoy them. But this was food specifically designed to make me feel better, to do the healing process. And that's what I saw it as, healing, not to change my body. So this was like taking medicine. As I also took some vitamins also too with it. So with the vitamins like CoQ10 and selenium and vitamin E, sitting out in the sun and eating the food, everything went together. There was no one thing. So I really can't say that the food made a difference. If I had eaten the food alone and did nothing else, I would have said yes. But everything went together. The exercise, the vitamins, the food were just a part of like we call the protocol. The whole thing wasn't by itself. So it's hard for me to say that the food alone did everything. Because even though when I talk to people and they ask me about it, I would not just say food. Everything goes together with it. Exercise and everything, the way you think, that's very important also too. And the food, of course, would help because we are what we eat. So food does make a lot of a difference. So hadn't I changed around the way I ate and just had the vitamins and whatever, nothing might have happened. But everything worked together. So that's how I would look at the food. Because I noticed the chapter, not many things on food. I mean, I have a few recipes that I did, but that's it. Just everything. I was more into the spiritual than the food. Because to me, if you says I am your healer, I have, and we have all the different parts of us. We have to make sure that all the parts fit together. As Paracelsus says, you don't just work on one part that hurt. All the parts have to work on together. Those that are not those that are healthy everything has to work together to bring about, you know, the healing. So that's what I did. Everything I used.
I didn't mention it at the beginning, but you're in Tobago.
Mm. Oh yes,
So
yes,
of
yes.
course you're getting lots of vitamin D in the sun.
Yes, the sun, right. Yeah, it's very hot right now. Yes. Yes. So I didn't have to take that one because I just sit in the sun every morning in my garden, watching the birds go by and looking at all the flowers, the butterflies. That's healing. Animals playing, dogs running by, the sheep, the goat, all the animals running around you. That's healing. That's therapeutic.
It sounds like it's a kind of return to wholeness because in our lives we separated and fragmented ourselves. So the healing was returning to union, to wholeness of what
Yes.
we really are.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you. Yes, it is. It is. I'm glad being here because it's nice going out in the morning to the sun. My first thing is I'm do my gardening. I have a garden, which I do, flower garden and a vegetable garden. And I do my gardening as long as my body wants to stay in it. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. You could pick up the soil, pick up the earth. It's nice. No apartment building. You can really get down to nature. I like that. It's good. We should all live like that, I think. But we can't, unfortunately.
So you talked also about trust and faith.
Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, we have to trust, and that's only how we'll develop our faith. We have to trust. We must trust, and we have faith. For me to have had this faith, when I said, I'm your healer, I had experiences before. As I mentioned, when you cut your finger, see, I look at things deeply, not just on the surface. I look at things. I cut my finger. I did nothing to it. And some days I don't even know that I'm in the garden. I have scratches on me. I'm not aware that I was being scratched. But days later, I may see a little scar. Now, where did that come from? It just healed by itself. So if that can happen, what about my body? What about the cancer that I was diagnosed with? That can be healed also too. So I am your healer. That was my concentration. I am your healer. I did that. I analyzed it, what it meant. I also decide to divide up myself into different parts, like the emotional, mental, physical, and the spiritual parts of it. Emotionally, my emotion took over when I heard the word mastectomy. I said, what? I was not expecting to hear that word at all. But then I realized that in back of my mind was I am your healer. Because mastectomy to me meant chemo and radiation. Those were not good enough for me. So what other alternative was there? I am your healer. So therefore, go to the healer. That's why I researched all those books and the internet to find out things about, you know, I am a healer. What did Dr. Chopra say and what did the other doctors say? Because that was natural healing. they wrote in their books. So there's only one healer. So read the books to see what was said about it. So why am I worrying about it emotionally? That's covered. Mentally, um, the scripture that said when you go through trials, it's just a test of faith to build endurance. And also that we have been there before. So I have had testing before. So what am I worrying for about this one? We're going to a depression. It's a test. I've had other things before and I've come through them. So why not? And I learned something from them. So why not this one? So that took care of my mental one. No worry about anything. Then there was the physical also too. What Paracelsus said. One part of the body is hurt. All the parts that are healthy would come together to heal that one. So that was my arsenal. Then the spiritual one, of course, was the meditation and prayer also too. Because prayer to me, you're linking my mind with God. So that's how I looked at it. That's how I handled it. And when I handle all of those, what's to worry about for me? Because if I were worrying, I could not have written that book because there's no mention of fear or anything in the book. It's not. It's a positive book, and not only for cancer, for anybody dealing with anything at all. Because I have had responses from people who have read the book, and that is what they are saying. It's not only just for them because they were not diagnosed with anything, but just by reading the book, it has helped them because it's a positive book. It's not negative at all. I mean, the word cancer may scare some people, but if you think about it, more women are dying from heart disease more than cancer. Statistically, and nobody mentions about heart disease or make a fuss about it where women are concerned. But once it's cancer, everybody, there's the fear. I don't understand why. Why is there the fear? So my book is not one of fear. It's one of encouragement. It encourages you to do what you have to do. Put the fear aside because the fear would hold you back. Of course, fear can always propel you forward to do things in the right way, but it's not a fear book at all. It's not a fear book. It's a book of encouragement, pushing you on. And as I mentioned, if you die, so what? You did something. You will learn something from it. So,
Yeah, it seems that I guess growing up in this society, we've been taught about this cancer fear.
yes,
So and we see it in our papers, newspapers, and even discussions with other people. And sometimes other people, they mean well, but when
yes,
they
they did.
speak to you, they have this energy of terror around them.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So did you have to guard yourself
Yes.
against other people's projecting their own fear onto you?
Well, the only people who knew about me were my family. The teacher in the preschool did not even know, but one of my neighbor told her. And my neighbor knew because I was on my way to the clinic, and my sister I was home. I had to prepare her breakfast for her, my older sister. And I dropped in to see my neighbor and was telling her, I guess I was complaining to her that I have to hurry home now and I'm diagnosed with cancer and I have to make my sister's breakfast. And she told the preschool lady. So that's it. Nobody else knew. Only my family. And I did that for a reason because I know how we think about cancer. They would have told me, you have to go and take chemo and radiation. Because my doctor, of course, she would know about it too. So I didn't tell anybody. It came out after, because after I got the book was printed, and I had a what they call it. I had a display of the book. They had to invite people, so of course they had to know why. But I didn't deliberately, didn't tell anybody because I knew this fear would have come, and no matter how strong you are, somebody said something, or the wrong person, there's a doubt. There's a doubt in your mind, and I wanted no doubt whatsoever in my mind because I knew what I was doing. So the less people you talk to me is the better. Unless you're asking them to pray for you, don't tell them what you're doing. And don't say you have cancer. I said I was diagnosed with cancer, not that I have it. I didn't want it. I was diagnosed with it. But I had it and it taught me a lot. As I mentioned, I knew things which I would not have known before about my body. Because who thinks that you don't tell yourself to walk, you just walk? You don't think like that. You just walk. You eat, you sleep, you go to the bathroom. You don't think of that. But what is it in you that tells you to go to sleep or to eat or to walk or to go to the bathroom? There's something. I didn't think of those things before, but with the diagnosis, I began to think about those things. You want healing? Who's healing you? Where's the healing coming from? From the foods? What is in the foods? Who put the things in the food? You have to think. Music? Who made the music? Exercise. You're dancing. In the sun. Where did the sun come from? Makes you think. Takes your mind off yourself also too. A bigger picture. So it benefited me. I learned a lot from it, which I could share with others. Because I had feedback from others. Like one woman said to me, I'm making her change her way of thinking. She's looking at things differently. You see? So it was a good thing. I have no regrets because you help other people.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, Auntie Gloria, the reason behind writing the book. And yeah.
Okay, the reason behind writing the book was I wanted to share with others what I went through on my journey, so to speak. Because I love to write, and years ago, I was hit by a car. I went to the doctor, and he asked me certain questions. I couldn't answer them about myself. And then he said to me, you should know, write down everything that happens to you. And from then I began writing everything down that happened to me. So when I began my journey, I did the same thing too. Bits and pieces of paper, I wrote down what happened because the detailed, some parts of it are very detailed in the book. That's what I went through. Like when I went to the hospital, you had to take a test, and you have to, and they dye, and this color dye and all that. I wrote it all down too. Because for somebody else to know what's going on, they could be afraid. And my book will tell you what's to be afraid of. You're not be afraid of. You have a choice. You choose to go this way or that way. So that's why I wrote the book.
Well, thank you, Auntie Gloria, for sharing your journey, for coming onto the show today, and for writing the book. And I think, as you said, after reading the book, okay, you can read it if you're just interested in your healing from cancer.
Yes.
But I think it's a great book about life
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with anything that comes up.
Yes. True.
And I think that was the beauty of the book. And also another one was that, okay, you can read it in an hour and a half, but some of the concepts you can go back to refresh
Yes.
different parts of it at any time.
Yes. 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 But I'll tell you something what a reader told me that they went through and wrote out all my concepts and pasted it on their fridge in other parts of the room. So when they go, they would see. Now that person had lost their job, they were not working. So those concepts gave them like encouragement to keep on going. So I know it is a good book because I've heard from different people, different things that how they saw the book. One stopped buying vegetables and just leaving them in the fridge and not using them, which we tend to do. We don't use them. Another one said she lost weight just doing the things that in the book. So I know that it is good. I know that. That's where and I'm happy that I wrote it.
Well, thank you, Auntie Gloria. So I think we'll leave it there. So this has been Gloria Austin, my Auntie Gloria, talking about this book. Again, it's how I dealt with cancer in a non-conventional way. If you're interested in the book, I will leave a link to the bottom of the page where you can find it and read it for yourself. And like you said, it's not just about cancer, it's about dealing with anything that comes your way,
With life.
dealing with life.
Mhm.
Auntie Gloria, thank you very much.
I thank you very much for having me on.
So this has been Raan Oosha's conversation on the spiritual journey today with Auntie Gloria in Tobago, and I'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.